you have ADHD and you keep saying to yourself, why can't I just be consistent with weight loss like everybody else? I need you to hear this, and I need you to make sure that you stay till the end of this video, because I'm going to explain the science, the psychology behind why neurodivergent brains struggle with consistency. Because it's not discipline, it's not a mindset, it's not motivation, it is literally how your brain is wired. And when you can understand the science behind this, consistency makes more sense, and it's something that you can actually curate. So let's get stuck the hell in. But before we do, one tiny ask. I see the views on these videos, I see the likes, I see the engagement, but the subscribes, they ain't correlating. So please guys, if you've come across this video for the first time and you're new to my world, my name is Lucy. I create fitness content to help weight loss, fitness, health, all that good stuff work for your neurodivergent brain. So if that's a bit of you, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you are a regular watcher and you ain't subscribed, I think it's about time. So please hit that subscribe button and just let me know you're here. Let me know that you exist. I love to connect with people who are watching these videos. Please don't be a stranger. All right, let's get stuck in. Now, I used to think consistency was about like being on it, being perfect, right? Like showing up every day, ticking the boxes. Whereas what was actually happening with me was I was in these cycles of start really strong, do amazing, feeling really burnt out, kind of fall off a little bit, and then go again and again and again and again. And I knew what to do, but it just felt like the only way that I could be consistent was to just be constantly burnt out. That, or I ain't doing it. And it just made it feel really frustrating. But it wasn't a case of like lack of motivation or lack of skill set. It was just that my brain was just not wired for doing it that way. Like, how I like to describe it is trying to be consistent with ADHD is like trying to drive a car when the accelerator is only working, like some of the time. Some days you're flying and other days you press the pedal and like nothing is happening. You ain't moving. And you sit there frustrated, like, what is wrong with me? But it's not your fault, right? The same way that if you press the accelerator and nothing's moving, that isn't your fault. So to break down the neuroscience as to why consistency can be hard, I want to explain sort of 3 areas of the brain and chemicals and chemistry that are linked to consistency when it comes to ADHD. So the first part, the big one, the big D that you all probably heard of, not that D, is dopamine, right? Dopamine is what drives motivation and focus and productivity and that get up and go and that reward and that excitement to do things. So in a neurodivergent brain, the ADHD brain, and autism, I think there is some research behind that, dopamine is lower at baseline, which means generally it sits lower, it's released differently, it's harder to sustain. Which means things that maybe feel a bit boring but unimportant can be really hard. That's why some days, if you are understimulated, things feel really flat. So if you are not keeping dopamine regulated, then it's going to be hard to actually do the thing. And that's where that running into a brick wall feeling can come in. That's where putting my foot on the accelerator and nothing happening feeling comes in. Because there is nothing driving you. If you think about dopamine as like the petrol, the gas, if you're American, for your car, if it ain't there, it ain't moving. And that's why sometimes things can feel really freaking hard, even though you know what to do and you know it's good for you, but you just ain't doing it. The second thing we're going to go to is executive functioning, and the part of the brain that controls that is your prefrontal cortex, and that is responsible for planning and decision making and organization and prioritization. And in ADHD, we have executive dysfunction. This part of our brain is a little bit less active. So it's not that you don't know what to do and you know what you should be doing, but this is why it can be really hard to, prioritize going to the gym and meal prep and organize and stay on track with things and not run out of time, because this part of the brain finds these tasks harder. So that's why some weeks, maybe if things are a bit quieter and less chaotic and you're doing those things, things flow well. But if you're really busy and your brain feels really full, you genuinely don't have the capacity to take action on those things. And that's when things can then feel like they're slipping away. And that's when the consistency can feel a bit harder. And the third part is the neurodivergence concept of time. Now, with a neurodivergent brain, there's this element of, time blindness, you might have heard of it. And that's not just losing track of time. Like, that's a big one, which is where then, you can get to 6 p.m. and you've not eaten all day, or then you binge, or you forget to plan the gym. But actually, it can be the struggle to feel the sense of future, like be able to understand, a lot of the time we say, think about future self. And in a neurodivergent brain, that can be really hard to be like actually thinking about your future self, to connect to those future motivations. You just think about the here, the now, and how you're feeling. That's why it's easier to sit on the sofa than go to the gym. That's why it's easier to eat some chocolate rather than say no to the chocolate, because it feels gratifying right now. So like this whole idea of, you'll in 3 months' time, you'll be at your goal weight, doesn't hit the brain the same as eat some pizza now. which is why often these short-term dopamine hits win, because it's not that you don't care about your future, it's not that you don't care about the result, but it almost feels like this mythical creature that doesn't exist. You really find it hard to connect with it, and that is part of the neurodivergent brain. Now, I don't just want to explain the why consistency feels harder, explaining some of the neuroscience in ADHD. I actually want to give you some solutions today. I want to give you a little bit of insight as to things that you can do, because I'm all about solutions. I'm not just here to go, this is why things happen, don't worry, you're not broken. Like, yes, I validate, I want you to feel understood, but I also want solutions. I want you to move forward. So here are just a few things that you can do to help on consistency. A few of my favorite tools and hacks, so to speak. So the first thing is to make it stimulating rather than just important. Like, a lot of coaches will say things like, just connect to your why, think about why you're doing this, and that will be enough. It's not, right? You already know that. Like, a lot of you will have big motivations. You might have had a health scare. You might look in the mirror every single day and not be happy. Like, I remember my first year of uni, every single day I looked in the mirror and hated what I saw. And I wanted to change so bad and I just couldn't do it, right? So your why, your driver isn't always enough. You need to make it stimulating. You need to get dopamine into the process. So rather than, just thinking about your why, think about what can you do to make it fun and exciting? What can you do to make it energizing for you? What can you do to give you that sense of So things like setting deadlines, competitions, actually thinking about ways of eating and moving that you enjoy. You need to be thinking about making that process stimulating and like setting little challenges, setting little targets for yourself, because just trying to listen to your why and future self, remember that the future self, we can't think about that person, so that is not going to be enough. And on that note, the second sort of bit of consistency advice I would give is to shorten the reward loop. So rather than thinking about 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, like that longer term goal, think about what you can do on a weekly basis, or something that's more tangible. Maybe it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where you can get that reward. So for example, like one thing that I get my clients to do every week is to share their wins. Like, I want you to celebrate every single week rather than just waiting until you get to your 12-week marker to celebrate. It might be that, rather than, after 12 weeks, then I'll celebrate it. It might be, do you know what? If you can do something for 3 weeks, give yourself a reward. Or if you can do something 10 times, give yourself a reward. Immediate feedback, immediate reward. You need to close that loop, because remember, yes, in 12 weeks time, you might be X, Y, Z, but that's so far away with a neurodivergent. I can't say neurodivergent today. Like I say it every day, isn't it? A neurodivergent brain. So thinking about like how often do you need that sense of reward on your process? There is nothing wrong with needing a weekly reward or a bi-weekly reward, or even like just really leaning into your wins and successes on a daily basis. The third thing is reducing friction as much as you can. So if we know that there's executive dysfunction, and I did a whole video on this actually, so I will leave that here. Just go back a few videos, go give that a watch. You need to remove as many barriers as you can. Like, make it as easy as you possibly can for yourself, right? So this is why I eat a lot of really easy foods that are, pre-cooked, pre-chopped. It's reducing the friction of having to chop. It's like if you're going to the gym tomorrow, make sure you already know what workout you're doing, get your gym clothes out, pack your bag, because it's removing friction. Reduce the steps, plan your meals out, you don't have to make the decisions in the moment. Like, reducing as much friction as you can will be a game changer for you. And my probably biggest advice for consistency with a neurodivergent brain is consistency is not rigid. Consistency is not 10,000 steps a day. It is not 1,500 calories a day, 100 grams of protein. It's flexible, right? Consistency is doing something towards your goals every day, all right? So some days that will be perfect on paper. Some days that might be, I just got out for a walk. Some days it might be, I just got in some protein. Remember that consistency is doing what you can with what you have, all right? And it removes that pressure, it removes that rigidity, which often backfires with a neurodivergent brain. But understanding all this is just step one, right? Building systems that work fit, that's the real work. And that is what I want to help as many people as I can with, because I want everyone to be able to be consistent with their goals and get to where they want to be, because there's a reason that you have the goals, whether it's to be fitter, healthier, happier, more confident, whatever that reason is, you want to achieve it, and I want to help make it possible for you. You don't have that system right now, but that's why I've designed one. That's why I created Wire to Thrive, specifically designed for the ADHD or ADHD brain to help you stay consistent, lose weight, break the start-stop cycle, and actually get to where you want to be. No more shame, no more frustration. It is for people that know what to do, but they just can't do it, which is why it's not just go and eat this food and do this workout. Like, you can Google that, you can chat GPT that, you know it. It's why can't I stay consistent, and what systems can I put in place to remove the friction, work with my executive functioning, and keep dopamine high. Why to Thrive will show you how to do that. Now, the link to the program and everything that's included and how to get involved will be below. Obviously, if you are watching this in the future, doors might be closed, but there will be a waitlist button, so please still go check it out. And if you have watched this and you know this program is for you and you sign up, well, I cannot wait to support you on an even deeper level inside the program. But irrespective to whether you join me or not, I hope this video has been helpful for you today. Please let me know in the comments if it has. Have a wonderful rest of it, and I will speak to you on the next one.